Okay, the last video I didn't. I thought I was sharing this chart, and I wasn't. So this is from the Roosevelt Institute. It's more or less a left-leaning think tank. So if anybody thinks I'm doing some funny business, I'm not. Not really too good with the technology right now. I plan on getting better. I figured I either pay somebody for their knowledge or spend the time and money to gather my own. So, either way, it's either um, paying somebody for their knowledge or investing in yourself and gathering the knowledge on your own. So I got a little bit of a learning curve, but I'll figure it out. So this chart here is showing you the rate of inflation on all items and what they call in shelter or housing. And so you see it starts off at January 2020, which is pretty much the end of the Trump administration. And it ends on around January, February of 2025, which is kind of beginning of the Trump administration. So this is pretty much the entire Biden administration here. So as you see, um, actually inflation was higher in the housing market at the time of the COVID, the beginning of the Biden administration. I'm sorry, I'm wrong on that. This is still the Trump administration because COVID hit during Trump. So this is 2020 here, January 2020. And so the housing market is actually um, a little bit more inflated than the price of our goods. Now, when they lock everything down in April of 2020, um, you see there's a dramatic decrease in the cost of everything. Okay, even especially with the our items. Now, our items continues to rise, mainly probably because of the shortages, because the panic, people were hoarding items. It was a shortage on everything. So anytime you have a decrease in supply, you're gonna have an increase in prices. So this is what happened. This is the red line, and the prices actually kept going up all the way until um, looks like it peaked around April or May or June or something, between April and July of 2022. And then they basically had a steady decline um, um, all the way until, you know, the summer of 2023. And then they kind of leveled out and took a little decrease um, towards the end of the Biden administration that were starting to go back up um, in January of 2025. We don't know what they are right now, but that's what it was. Now the housing thing, it had more of a slower. I mean, the rate of inflation went down until about January, February, March of 2021. Now, what happened with this is, like I was saying before, you had um, policies uh, that were called rental assistance, and what rental assistance did, even though the all items had taken off, this didn't take off till probably months later, almost a year later. And then once they put these rental assistance programs in, you see a steady climb. It even was going up even after um, the price of all items, which was like I said, around June or so between April and July of 2022, the rate of housing, even though the all items were falling, it was continuing to rise. It did not go down. It did not start going down, and it didn't do a sharp thing like the all items. It didn't continue to start falling until February or March or so of 2023, and then there was a steady decline, I guess, after they started taking the money out. And so, what you know about inflation is going to raise prices, and even though the rate of inflation is going to fall, the prices are going to remain high. They may go down somewhat, but they'll never go back to this level over here, which was in January 2020. So you'll never see the prices return to that level unless it's some deflationary type of event, which, will create a lot of foreclosures and to put a lot of supply back on the market or whatnot. You won't see housing prices come down to pre-COVID levels ever. Okay, so how you deal with inflation is you slow the rate of inflation, which they've done. That's done through different methods, but mainly through the Federal Reserve, through interest rates causing it becoming money becoming more expensive, becoming harder to borrow money, and so forth, etc. And so that's gonna create it being harder to buy a home, and in some situations harder to sell a home. So if it's harder to sell a home, you have to either do more to make your property more advantageous to the buyer, or go down on the price or whatever. So that's kind of like what's going on right now. But it's not being caused by Donald Trump. I mean, Donald Trump had nothing to do with the reason why houses is so expensive at this point in time. Okay, here we go. Come down to this other chart that I was referencing, and it's just showing the Zillow, what they were able to rent, Zillow rent index, and it shows basically confirming the same thing. Is that actually when COVID first hit, there was like a dramatic decrease in rent, and then around again sometime in the early part of 2021, you get this dramatic increase in rent. I mean, it's crazy, almost 17%. It's unreal. And then it looks like just as it went up that drastically, it went down. And then at this same time, it looks like rent. So I guess this orange with maybe apartments or townhomes or whatever. I don't. But this green line says rent of primary residence. So it also went up around about the same time, a little bit after. Actually, it was going down as these other rents were going up. As they cross, you see one was going up, one was going down, but it started going up tremendously, and it was going up somewhat as the other rental prices were going down. It didn't continue with the orange line, but it looks like the green line is the rate of inflation is almost back to normal. But like I said, that increased prices, and prices never return to what they originally were. Okay, especially because there's not a lot of supply in the market. This one is quarterly repeat rent index and CPI shelter component. So this is tracking over the years. So you see that during the housing crisis, there was a dramatic decrease and then it was some slight increase, but this is normal. How this is just like normal, up and down, up and down. And then in 2021, you have these dramatic increases again. So, you see a deflation and an inflation. You can see it right here. Deflation, housing crisis, inflation, COVID-19, when the government basically put too much money back into the economy. So, yeah, you could just compare that to the first video. I meant to put it on there, but, just getting used to this technology stuff. All right. So, that is what it is. And I come back the next time with some more real information, real facts. Keep supporting the channel.